Thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview sponsored by Immovet. Help your horses reach their maximum potential with Immovet's line of natural homeopathic products. I'm your host today, Aurelian Germian. Today we're joined by George Scott, a trainer whose rising star, West Acre, has been making waves in Dubai. After breaking the track record in the Blue Point Sprint and securing victory in the Nad El Shaba Turf Sprint, West Acre now faces a new challenge in the Quoz Sprint on Dubai World Cup night. We'll discuss his progression, the decision to step up to 6 furlongs, and what makes him such a special sprinter. We'll also explore Scott's approach to sales, future plans for West Acre, and his thoughts on new technologies in training. Stay tuned for an inspiring conversation with the trainer on the rise. So great to have you here, Scott, George Scott. West Acre has shown remarkable progression in Dubai, breaking the track record in the Blue Point Sprint and winning the Nad El Sheba Turf Sprint, as I mentioned. He's a lightly raced 3-year-old. What specific improvement have you seen in him during his time at Meydan?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, West Acre's rise, as you say, has been pretty amazing to watch and to be closely attached to as well. He's a horse that's always shown us a huge amount of ability at home. It's been well documented. He had a setback about 11 months ago, just before he was meant to make his racecourse debut. And so we were all very disappointed at the time, but he's made up for lost time. And yeah, we've been I wouldn't say surprised about his rise, but he's certainly fulfilled his potential in our eyes, improving really all the way through the winter. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to World Cup night, although as you alluded to at the start there, it's going to be a slightly different test for him over 6 furlongs.
For sure, I can imagine. The Alco's sprint requires West Acres to step up to 6 furlongs from his preferred 5. How confident are you about this distance increase?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm very confident, but I'm hopeful. The main asset that he's shown in both of his races there at Meydan, that he's finished off particularly strongly. He's obviously put in he's put in three performances, but his two most recent performances were very different. His track record in the Blue Point was explosive. He showed an amazing turn of foot, and obviously the ground was very fast that night, which seemed to suit him. And then in the Ned Al Sheba, it was a little bit more of a laboured effort, but he showed some real tenacity. And I think if you stop the film sort of 20 meters after the line, he's well in command of the race. And therefore, we'd be hoping that he would get the 6 furlongs, no problem on World Cup night. I know Callum Shepherd, his rider, is very confident that he'll get the trip. But until you go and do it at the highest level, I think, I'd be more hopeful than confident.
I can imagine. You
Yeah.
described West Acre as having a huge engine early in his Dubai campaign. What other qualities, make him particularly well suited to sprinting at the highest level?
Yeah, well, he's got a great cruising speed and an ability to switch off. Some sprinters really only have two gears. It's kind of fast and faster. Whereas West Acre, he switches off really nicely in his races and is able to conserve energy, which is obviously a huge asset to him. He showed a will to win along with that speed and that quality. The other day, he showed that he had the heart to be a good racehorse as well. And so he has a combination of the two, which I think sort of is standing him in very good stead over at Meydan at the moment.
Perfect. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about your team, which has played, I think, a crucial role in West Acre's success in Dubai. Could you tell us a little bit more about the staff, who have traveled with him and how your operation functions during these Middle Eastern campaigns, even when it comes,
Yeah,
to other horses, maybe?
Exactly. I mean, obviously, the decisions are all made here at base camp. The training is identified by me, and the execution is carried out by my team at Meydan and also in Bahrain this winter. We have, the devices on the horses, the Arenio devices on the horses, so we know exactly how fast they're going and how far they're going in the mornings. And in Dubai, particularly with this horse, Milan, who is one of my members of staff, has got a great relationship with him, understands him very well, and has been executing my instructions perfectly. And then we've used a variety of jockeys on the grass, on gallop mornings, including Dylan Brown McGonigal, and obviously Callum's been flying in to gallop the horse. So yeah, it's definitely a big team effort. It's a very different way of training when you're not able to see the horses every day. So you're reliant on the people around them in the mornings, and feedback is obviously crucial. But in the modern world that we live in, we have lots of assets. We have at our disposal, and it makes life a lot harder not being able to see the horse. But when you have great staff, I'm able to trust what they're seeing, and then I can respond to that as well.
Perfect. And West Acre was purchased for just about £95,000 at the Golf's UK Premier yearly sale. How has this success influenced your approach to, upcoming sales, and which specific sales will you be attending this year?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was well sourced by Billy Jackson Stops and Alex Elliott, who put together a partnership for a couple of owners,
Mhm.
and they've done a great job finding him. I remember him very well at the sale. I was very keen on him. Very athletic horse, not the biggest, but a great moving horse. He covered a lot of ground. He's by an outstanding stallion in Memas, and his dam, Lady Aria, was a good filly in her own right, getting some black type over a sprinting distance. So, he possessed the right credentials at the sale that we look for. He's just part of a process that we've been going through over the last few years about trying to identify the right horses. We've been lucky. We've sourced some really good horses recently, including sort of Bay City Roller, who was an unbeaten 2-year-old last year and won the Champagne Stakes. And then from a slightly different viewpoint, we bought Isle of Jura, as well, from a horses in training sale. So we want to be at every sale. We want to be represented pretty much at every sale. We're looking to source stock from yearlings through to horses in training, to cater for different clients. And we'll be represented at all the major European sales and also at Keeneland much later on in the year. So, buying good horses only helps the process. It gives owners, more of a reason to sort of to trust that process. And as we sort of strengthen, hopefully in the coming years, we'll be more and more active at the sales. But as I say, we've got 42-year-olds this year, many of which that were sourced from the sales. So we're in a nice position at the moment, but certainly not taking anything for granted.
And when attending those sales, do you have any favorite sires or breeding lines that you look for at the sales?
Well, I think we really work to the point of finding the horses first. We don't often go to the sales with big budgets or like lots of orders. What we try to do is find the horses that we love, and then find a client for them. So, there are, of course, like, I'd be lying if I didn't say that there are stallions that you have a preference to, but generally we just try to look at the individual, and then the pedigree is sort of as almost a secondary thought. We are now catering for some clients that really want to make an impact on the breeding side, whether that be to try and find stallions or to try and find race mares with a pedigree that would mean that they can breed from them in the future. With that in mind, we have been a bit more pedigree specific recently, but we also buy cheaper horses. That we try to firstly look for the racehorse rather than the pedigree. So It's a combination. It's a combination of both, but basically, and in short, we look for the individual first, and then we match that up to the pedigree afterwards.
Excellent. Michael Blanco mentioned he now has around 30 horses. Have you considered what type of prospect are you specifically looking to add to his string, following West Acre's success?
Yeah, well, Michael's main trainer is Andrew Balding. He has the majority of his horses with Andrew. They've had a lot of success together. And it was actually Andrew that suggested that Michael sort of spread his wings a little bit. Because, you obviously have this sort of I say a danger, but the idea of having all of your horses in one string, and then if they become unhealthy for whatever reason, it can just knock out a large part of the season. And also, Michael's a young, enthusiastic guy who loves the dialogue with people as well. And I think Andrew felt it would be fun for, very kindly introduce me to Michael after Andrew suggested this. So Billy looks after him, and I kind of, Billy's obviously my bloodstock agent separately. So it's really just seeing at the sale, what the plan is for Michael with Andrew and maybe another trainer or two, and then I sort of fall into line as to what might suit me. So we'll take each sale as it comes, as I say, and I very much take a back seat, to be honest, in this instance, because that's my role in this operation. So Michael's got 3 2-year-olds in training with me, or a majority, or a half, or a majority share in them. And we've got lots to look forward to. We also have a nice Mason filly making her debut this week for Michael and Valmont, a combination that's a new combination which seemed to be doing well as well. So he's got lots to look forward to, and he's always open-minded if we find the right horse. He loves his racing. He's very knowledgeable now as well. He understands what's required. He's also realistic about horses when we start to evaluate their level of ability. He understands that each horse has a place. So in regards to sourcing more horses, I'm sure we will do, but as fall into line in that department.
Perfect. And regarding West Acres travel plans for
Yeah.
the World Cup night, what are his actual plans, and when do you plan to arrive yourself?
Yeah, well, West Acre obviously will continue to train in Dubai, as he
Mhm.
has done for the last couple of months. So he's already there. He's acclimatized very well, as you well know. And I think that's a big advantage to him on World Cup night. You're going to have horses, very talented horses, shipping in. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that gives him that makes things considerably easier. But I think what it does is it takes out the variable of travel for him. He's there, he's acclimatized, he knows the track, he's happy at the track, so that's going to be a big help to him. Uh, we're getting very busy back here in the UK, with the season around the corner. So I won't be in Dubai until the week of the World Cup, and I probably won't get in until the Thursday before. As I say, like I'm training the horse from here. I'm very, very confident in the people around the horse. And I don't need really to get the go over any time before and interfere. Like it's working as it is. So we're busy. We've got a busy period here. Got 85 horses in here, so they are taking up the majority of my time at the moment.
I can imagine for sure. I guess it might be a little bit too early to talk about West Acres' plans after the Dubai World Cup, but is Royal Ascot or perhaps the Breeders' Cup Sprint on the agenda? And do you envision returning with him in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's what's interesting about West Acre is that he has all the potential there in the world, He could be a proper Group 1 sprinter, but although he's done very, very well, I think he still needs to prove himself at that level.
Okay.
If he does, I'm confident that he will, if he can be in the first 3 or 4 in the Alquoz, at worst. Yeah, everything is open to him. And as you alluded to there, the two main races I would have in my mind would be the King's Stand, which is now the King Charles, which is the 5 furlong sprint on the Tuesday of Royal Ascot. And then he'll end up at the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar for sure. What he'll do in the meantime, remains to be seen. But he'll only run on ground with, good or faster. I think he'll be sticking to 5 furlongs, but we'll see what happens on World Cup night. It really only leaves races like the Nunthorpe Open, the Flying Five, maybe in Ireland. But yeah, everything's on the table for him. And he'll certainly, I would imagine, he'll loop back round and end up back at Meydan. That seems the logical step. He's very happy there. Whether he starts his campaign next year in the Blue Point or the Nadal Sheba on the way to the Alcoz, I don't know. But there's a long, long way to go, as you said there at the start of the question. But my main targets in my head would certainly be Royal Ascot and the Breeders' Cup. Absolutely.
Excellent. It is quite difficult indeed to plan ahead or to plan ahead of time in this industry. It is a little bit step by step, I guess.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's really important from everyone's point of view to have a plan. We like to have plans for all the horses. I don't think there's any luck in the fact that we've had success abroad, because we plan those trips well in advance. We don't see traveling horses as an afterthought. We see it as a priority. So yeah, look, it's with a horse like him who's been on such a steep trajectory. You're always hoping rather than being really confident. I mean, it's still a step into Group 1 company. The division doesn't look as strong in the UK this year as it has in the past. With Bradsell retiring, believing is a very good filly in her own right. I believe she's coming over to the Alcoz, which will be great. And then I think it's a quite open division. There'll be some other young horses like West Acre coming through and bursting into that division. So, yeah, it's important to have a plan. But I couldn't say. I don't think anyone can say hand on heart this is an out and out Group 1 sprinter yet. He hasn't had enough opportunity to prove himself there. But the indication is that he is the real deal. But he'll have to do the talking on the track, and I would say about the Alquads as well, like it's only his seventh ever racecourse start. I think the horse has still got plenty of improvement in him as he strengthens and matures. You often see these sprinters not coming into their own until they're 4, 5. So he's got an amazing future ahead of him. We will look after him this year. Probably only run 3 or 4 more times. And yeah, we'll take it one step at a time, but with a firm eye on the future as well.
That sounds great. I'd like to change subject a little bit and talk more about digital technologies. Are there any new digital technologies that you are investing in, and why or why not?
Yeah, I mean, we're really open-minded. We have a numbers system here in the UK, which is provided by a guy that I think has a very clear idea of form here in the UK. So he does all his own form, he does all his own timing, and it generates a number which I think is very handy when you're doing race planning. We also, we use Arenio, the Equimeter product. So we're looking at heart rate, recovery, time in zones, cadence. We're taking it at stride length is very important as well for us, and symmetry as well, trot symmetry. So I've got a fantastic assistant she's very bright and has a very good understanding of the science behind training as well. So we concentrate on that, and we're very open-minded. We want to use every piece of apparatus that we can get our hands on that might just help us unpick the puzzle that's training racehorses. So yeah, as I say, I'm very, very open-minded about everything. And obviously with data, it takes a long time to get a handle of data, and a real proper understanding of it. So we're at the sort of early stages with that, but we have been doing it for 2 or 3 years. And funnily enough, the data flagged West Acre as being a potential start before his first ever race. I rang the owner, I rang Michael on the 17th of January and said, so he was turned 2, saying that this horse could be special, and we're seeing things from the numbers that we've never seen before here. So yeah, we're using it as much as possible, to be honest.
That's excellent. Yeah, it's definitely very helpful and improving, I guess, over time, and it's been, I'm sure, very useful.
Yeah, for sure.
And finally, on to the last question. What was the most exciting moment of the year for you with West Acre?
Well, without doubt, the Blue Point was really up there with one of my favorite moments ever on a race course. It was just a scintillating performance, and it was a confirmation to us that we had a very good horse on our hands, and it was a track record, and the manner in which he did it was explosive. So we without question that was the best moment so far with him.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. That was great.
Oh, my pleasure.